Good morning, Grand Rising. Welcome to Plug In and Power Up. I'm so grateful to be here with you all. I'm live streaming in multiple places again. So when you arrive, please say hi. Let me know that you can hear me clearly and that I sound awesome and fabulous in your ears this morning. I want to talk to you about intuition and intuition being everything and how it could change your life, elevate your life, and really bring you into the greatest expanded experience of you. Now, intuition is everything. For me, it's been everything. I came into this world very, very open from right out of the gates, out of the womb, very open, eyes wide open. I could see spirit, ghosts, fairies, angels, people who had passed away, people's energetic and auric fields. And I remember when I was really, really little, I'd often say to my mom and dad, did you see that little fairy? Did you see that little thing? And they were like, oh, our daughter has a very active imagination. And there was a day, I think it was about 5. And the next morning, I didn't sleep very well. The next morning, my mom came into my room and she said, hey, how did you sleep last night? I said, I didn't sleep very well at all. I said, all your friends that you had over at your party last night were in my room talking to me all night. And she said, we didn't have any friends over last night. I said, yes. And I started naming these 5 people, what they looked like. I could remember them clearly. And she said, you must have been imagining things. And I remember at that point, at age 5, starting to second guess myself. And I think this is where the error starts to come in. We have intuition. We're all born with intuition. You have eyes wide open, ears wide open, energy field open, your expanded self open, fresh in the world, ready to go, ready to see, ready to experience. And then something happens. Maybe someone that you care about, someone that you love says, I think you're imagining things. It must be all in your head, or you have a very active imagination. Any of you resonate with that? A lot of times that's the very thing that starts to shut us down. It closes down our center. We start questioning ourselves. So instead of trusting ourselves, we start questioning ourselves. The moment you question yourself, it's almost as though your whole intuition gets turned off, dialed down, and we stop believing in ourselves. And I think that's one of the worst things that we could experience on this planet is not believing in ourselves and not trusting ourselves, because we all have intuition. We all have an inner guidance system that lets us know left or right, this way, that way, yes or no, forward, back. We all have intuitive knowing. But what happens to most people is we've had experiences along the journey that have caused us to doubt ourselves. And maybe it was something that was external for a moment where it was like, are you sure about that? And then you're like, yes, I am sure about that. You must be imagining things. And you're like, maybe I am imagining things. So you start questioning. The very first thing that I want us to all do together today is let's take any of that questioning, that doubt out of the equation, just even for today, as we say in Reiki, just for today, let's take doubt, let's take self-doubt, let's take that self, whatever, question is out for a moment today. And if we took that out of the equation, could we come back to our center? Could we come back to our truth? Could we come back to our natural born intuitive soul gifts? And then what would happen? So I want to introduce myself very quickly. My name is Tara Antler. I'm an intuitive healer, a soul coach, and a spiritual teacher. And I've been doing what I call this non-work coming up to 23 years. I'm celebrating 23 years when I started my business. And one of the things that I love to do most is help people clear out what I call the ick and the stick. That stuff that doesn't serve us, the stuff that gets in the way. Clean and clear house first, then be able to freely, easily access our higher self, our soul's expression, not just touch it, but bring it in, bring it down, ground it, embody it so that we can truly create heaven on earth. And I feel like that's what we're here for right now. We are here to create heaven on earth. We're here to bring back the golden days, the golden years. We've stepped out of the dark ages. We're back into the golden. Yes, there's some fluctuations, and yes, there's a lot of chaos that seems to be happening on the planet right now, but that chaos is part of the recreation. It's part of the old falling away and the new coming in. One of our clients, she posted this really great thing, and she said, I read it on the weekend, she said something like, if human beings couldn't lie anymore, which systems would fall first? And I was like, basically all of them. And this ties right into your intuition, because when you start to activate your intuition, you can smell BS. You can sense when something's truth, ultimate truth with a capital T, versus the illusioned little t truth that's made to be the big truth with all the ways that powers that some people have. We need to start discerning. We need to start coming back to ourselves. We need to start coming back to our truth, capital T, truth. When you come back to your truth, you cannot deny certain things. You know what's good for you. You know what's not good for you. You know what's in alignment, what's not alignment. You know what's going to lead you to your higher path, and you know what's going to lead you to maybe something chaotic. This is where we have to start coming back to ourselves now, especially when you have so much available. I've been saying this for years. When we have so much available to us, whether it be the internet, AI now, all these different things, there's always stuff being given to us. There's always things being thrown at humanity. You're either going to be, I don't like to say it, but I'll say it. You either are going to be the person who's just going to blindly believe and be like, oh, well, that's what they say. That's what they say. That's what they told me. That's what that said. That's what they said. They. Every single time we do that, we're stepping out of our power. You're stepping out of your power and into someone else's. You're stepping out of your capital T truth and knowing, and you're stepping into someone else's. Well, they said that it was just my imagination as a child. Fast forward to when I really blew the lid open when I was 14 and then 18, 19, and so on. I knew back then when I reflected on those moments of being able to see auric fields, energy, knowing how to heal, knowing how to help people, I knew that that was my intuition. I knew that that was my truth. Reflecting back. So when you stop saying they say, that said, this, that, they, la, 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 and you come back to yourself, I say, I know my truth. When you know your truth, it's unshakable. It's undeniable. And you stand so powerfully in yourself. So when you want to make big decisions, you're not freaking the F out. You're like, I can make big decisions because I trust myself. You have something before you that you're like, whoa, this is big. Okay, great. Let me go in. Let me lean in. Let me trust my power. Let me trust my inner guidance system, and let's go for it already. Let's do this. Let's make a decision. Trusting and knowing that I'm already in alignment with my higher self. This is one of the very first things that Gabriel and I teach within all of our programs is really to connect to the highest version of you. If you're connecting to the world, you're connecting to illusion. If you're connecting to your ego identity, you're also connecting to illusion. Illusion never takes us to capital T truth. It never takes us to the most expanded versions of life. It takes us to illusion. And illusion always has a fallout. Illusion always lets us down. Illusion always brings us to a state of discomfort and pain. Hi, Jess. Nice to see you. Thank you for saying hi. Let me know that you can hear me okay. I'm live streaming in multiple places again, and I want to make sure my mic is not glitching on me. So I'm going to take a sip of my delicious maple syrup coconut cream latte. One thing that I have loved about being back in Canada, I have my own espresso maker here. So I said to Gabriel, when we go back to Mexico in the fall, I have to get my own espresso maker because I love the smell. Like even the house smells like espresso. Like it's like the best thing. Hi, Lainey. Nice to see you. Happy Monday. So let me know in the comments, has there ever been a time when you stop trusting yourself, where you stop trusting your own intuition? So delish. And I love maple syrup. See, here we can get maple syrup very easily. In Mexico, you can get it easily if you drive an hour and a half from where we are to Costco. But I love maple syrup. So good. But has there ever been a time when you didn't trust your intuition, where maybe something, you had that inner knowing, and maybe someone came along and said, are you sure about that? Are you sure you weren't dreaming? You sure you weren't imagining that? See, growing up very intuitive and then having to unwire a lot of things and heal from a lot of things, when our kids come to us and they say, hey, like when we first got back, I shared this with our Thrivers the other day. One of our twins, Chase, he's super, super sensitive. They're all sensitive in their own way, but he's like, if there's going to be anybody that's going to feel something, he's going to feel it. He's going to feel it and he's going to feel it all. So he said, all three of them actually said, oh, did you see the lady that was in our house? And I said, oh, there's a lady in our house? And they said, yeah, she's got blonde hair. She looks kind of like Nana. And there she is again. She was sitting on the couch. She was sitting at the table, and they've seen her several times. And I said, oh, that's probably Sue, one of the women who used to live here on this property. She used to take very good care of this property. They had teepees here. They had ceremonies, drumming circles, all sorts of amazing healing things that happened here. And she took really good care of the property. And I said, I have a feeling that she was protecting our house while we were away. And then Chase said to me just the other day, he's like, oh, I saw her. She just sparkled away. And I said, what do you mean she sparkled away? He said, well, you know when you look at something and it looks kind of fuzzy, but it's like sparkly and fuzzy? And I said, yeah. He said, it looks just like that. She just sparkled away and up into the air and she was gone, and I haven't seen her since. Now, being who I am, I'm like, like I'm so happy that my kids are having this experience, and I'm so happy that I get to be the conscious parent to be able to support them and honor what they're seeing and be like, tell me more. And not look at them like they're crazy, not look at them like it's their imagination, and not have them doubt themselves. See, again, most of us have had experiences where we had intuition and then we had something or someone come along and say, are you sure about that? And we started questioning ourselves. Again, today I want us to take out all the times and ways that we've doubted ourselves, all the times and ways that we've questioned, that we stopped listening and trusting our own inner knowing. That's the very first thing that we need to do when we want to reopen our intuition. We have to take out the doubt. We have to clean house. This is the clear the ick and the stick moment, right? There's always 3 phases that I talk about: clear the ick and the stick, connect to the higher self, and then embodiment. Got to ground the stuff. But the very first thing that we need to do is we have to clear out. We have to clean house. We have to alchemize some of those things that have happened, because if not, it will always come up. We'll have intuition and then we doubt ourselves. We have insight come in and then we doubt ourselves. We have some wave of like, woo, this feels like truth. And then we doubt ourselves. And then we wobble, and then we waver, and then we freeze sometimes, and then we don't make a decision. Sound familiar? Right? So today, let's take out all those times and ways. Even just stating that is powerful. I release all the times and ways that I've ever doubted my own intuition, wherever it may have come from, wherever it came in, wherever I allowed it in, wherever I gave my power away. That's really what we've done. We've given our power away when we stop listening to ourselves. We stop trusting ourselves. We give our power away. So this is our moment to come back to our power. And once we restore power, then we can lift off. This is everything that we're going to be doing, by the way. I have some more that I want to share with you here. But this is everything that we're going to be doing, by the way, in our upcoming free, I don't know if you guys heard, free masterclass coming up. It's a free experience called the Pearl Activation. The Pearl Activation. I'll tell you more about it in a second. If you haven't yet registered for it, just type the word Pearl in the comments, wherever you're streaming in from. Type the word Pearl. I'll send you the link. It's a free 5-day experience, and it's going to be unlike anything Gabriel and I have taught before. And so we're going to be activating. There's 3 parts to this activation. So we're going to be activating the Pearl. And I'll tell you a little bit about that right now. Why the Pearl? So the first time I ever saw this Pearl was when my grandma Antler passed away, my dad's mom. I was in Ireland. Gabriel and I were living in Ireland at the time. Hi, Pierce. Nice to see you. We were living in Ireland at the time, and my grandma passed. I had just arrived in Ireland. Gabriel, he was living there for 9 months straight, and I was back and forth from Toronto to Ireland. And my grandma passed, and I just arrived, and I was like, oh my God, I hadn't seen Gabriel, who was my husband. I hadn't seen him in 4 months. It was the longest stint Gabriel and I had in seeing each other. So I tuned in to my grandma's spirit, and I said, do you want me to fly home? I just arrived. I'll fly home for the funeral. And she kind of giggled, and she said, you know, you need to be with your husband. You just got here. You haven't seen him. I'm gone. Like, I'm dead. There's nothing much that you can do other than be there and support your dad. Right. And so I said, okay, I'm going to tune into you though, Grandma, because I really want to talk to you. And so I asked her, and we sat for 2 hours that night. And I asked her, I said, can you tell me what the process is when you pass? And she said, I'll do even better. I'm going to show you what the process is when you pass to the other side. And then when you come back in, what that looks like. And I was like, like, this is so exciting. And so being that I am who I am, that I've trusted my intuition, I had to come back to my intuition. I trust everything that I get. Every spiritual wisdom, when a spirit comes in, when my grandma comes in, whoever comes in, when I see someone's auric field, I 100% trust what I'm getting. I'm at that point now because I've cultivated this. I'm now 47. And I started cultivating this consciously when I was 14 to 47. So when people talk to me about intuition, I'm like, I know intuition. This is not just something that I like play and dabble with. This is something that is my life. I live by my intuition, by my higher self. So when my grandma comes in, she says, I'm going to show you. She showed me the process of what happens when we go out. I'll save that for another day. What was interesting how this Pearl conversation came in is she said, now, as I'm reviewing my life and as I'm reviewing what I loved, what I didn't love, what I healed, what I didn't heal, what's left unresolved, what I'd like to do again, she was sifting and sorting through everything. As she was going through everything, peering through this looking glass, that's what it looked like, was this spherical looking glass. And she said to me, come here. She goes, I want to show you. And I placed my face in it, and it was like this liquid substance viewing glass. And we're reviewing her entire life. And she said, I love that experience. And she would take a part of it and she'd like put it over there. And as she was putting stuff over there, there was this sphere being created. And certain things she was done with and she was discarding them. And then she said, oh, what if in my next lifetime, I experience this? And as she's reviewing, she's creating. Now, I want you to think about this in terms of your own manifestations, because sometimes we think that maybe a manifestation doesn't go the way that we want, or maybe it's slower than we expect, or maybe we're disappointed. But if you could look at it from the higher perspective, if you could review it and refine it, review it and recreate it, you're actually doing exactly what the soul does when it passes from this life saying, I'm complete with this, and moves on to the next. You could be doing that with all of your creations. You could be like, you know what, that creation didn't really go as planned. Let me review it. Let me refine it. What did I like? Put it over there. What do I want to create? Put it over there. What do I want to experience more of? Put it over there. In new creation, evolve it. And what I'm done with, I discard. What I'm done with, I discard. But most humans, what we do is we're like, no, we're just going to keep it all. We're just going to pack it all. We're going to keep it all. Nostalgia, memory, patterns, habits. I'll just keep it all. And we're wondering why people are walking around so tired. Well, you're carrying a lot. Okay, so let's discard, right? So coming back to my grandma, I'm watching her recreate her next life. And as she's recreating her next life, this beautiful pearl is being formed. It literally looked like a pearl. Big orb being formed over to the right. And I said to her, I was like, what is that? And she said, and I knew intuitively, but I wanted to ask her. She said, well, that's my next life. I'm creating my next version of myself. And it starts as this hologram. I said, it looks like a pearl. And she said, yes, it very much does look like a pearl. She said the energy will build and it will build and it will build and build. And then the right circumstances, the right orchestration of timelines, people, the right players, the right everything has to come in and match. And when it's time, I will drop in. I was like, so cool, right? So cool. So I sat with her for 2 hours. Now, fast forward many years later, many years later, Gabriel and I were back in Canada. We lived in Innisfil, Barrie, and then Northern Ontario, and now Northern Ontario, Mexico. Prior to having kids, we knew that we wanted to start a family. And I got pregnant, and I thought it was Aria coming in because I had seen Aria intuitively as a baby that would come in for me since I was 18. I've seen Aria. So I knew I would have a girl first. I just always knew that. And so I got pregnant, and I thought it was Aria coming in. And 10 weeks into the pregnancy, I miscarried. And I was so sad because I was ready. I thought I was ready. And I said, I'm confused. And I said, I want to talk to Aria. I want to talk to the soul who wants to come in. And they said, that wasn't Aria. She's in preparation for coming in. And I said, well, then who was in my womb? And they said, this was a cleaner soul. And I said, what's a cleaner soul? I've never heard about this before. And they said, a cleaner soul is the soul that comes in that prepares your womb to receive. And she had to come in and clean out because there was a lot of stuff from my childhood that I needed. I had cleaned out a lot, but I needed to clean out from an energetic and cellular place. It was literally like being emptied. And so that's a whole other experience. Fast forward 2 years before I got pregnant with Aria, for real this time. We were on the houseboat here in Northern Ontario, and Gabriel and I are like having fun, making out. And I see this energy, so distracting when you're trying to like get it on with your partner and like you're having all these spiritual visions. Okay, Pierce, I know you know what I'm talking about. And so I see this, not that Pierce, no, not in that way, y'all. Pierce was a client of mine who's a friend of mine, and his partner, they have these really cool experiences that they've shared with me. So that's what I'm talking about before you all get some interesting thoughts in your head. So Gabriel and I have this vision, and I see Aria floating. And Jess, I know you're laughing right now. I see this huge energy above my head, and I look up, and I was like, what is this? And I heard Aria's preparing. She's preparing to come in. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to get pregnant right now. And they said, no, you're not going to get pregnant right now. In 2 years from this point. I was like, 2 years? I got to wait another 2 years. They said, 2 years from this point, you will be pregnant. And what this is her energy, her soul coming. I know you're laughing, Jazz. Her soul is forming together all the pieces, the right timing, the right people, the right orchestration, the right date. She's orchestrating the whole thing. And it looked like a beautiful pearl. being formed above my head, like way, way, way above my head, at least 12 feet above my head. And it was so beautiful, pearlescent, luminescent, shiny. It was alive. And I said, well, what's going to happen? And they said, well, that pearl represents her and it's going to hold it. It was holding almost in like a clamshell, like an energetic vortex. And I said, it's going to hold like this. It's going to pick up momentum. It's going to pick up speed until she's ready. And I said, well, what happens when she's ready? And they said, it's going to close up like this, almost like a flower or a clamshell. It's going to hold it and incubate it. And then when it's time, when it's go time, you're going to feel it. You're going to get this urge. You're going to feel the surge. And the pearl is going to pop through. And it was like an inverted triangle, right? So we went from this, right, to this, which looked like a diamond. And then it inverted it and plopped the pearl down through. Now, doesn't that kind of look like the uterus, the birth canal a little bit? This is why I've been saying for at least 25 years, everything in the micro is the macro and everything in the macro is the micro. If you want to learn about anything, you just start to micro and macro it, you're going to learn something. So it will plop down and then the pearl will come down. It will enter in through your crown. And at the time of conception, it will drop down. Her energy, like a ball of light, will drop down into your uterus and you will conceive if the other half, the other party does its part and magic will happen. Fast forward 2 years later. So I didn't stress about it. I didn't freak out. Even my mom the other day, she was laughing. She was like, oh my God, do you realize that you're going to be a grandma or you're going to be a mom still when most people are grandmas? And I was like, yes, but I'm also grateful at the timing that I had babies, but so be it. I'll be a 70 or 80-year-old young grandma at the time when Aria decides or whatever, whoever decides to have babies over here. But I said it was all perfect timing. So I didn't stress. I didn't freak out. I allowed, I surrendered, I lived. And as I lived, I had fun. We created, we grew. Gabriel and I expanded. We moved to Barrie. The moment we get to Barrie, I feel this surge that my higher self had told me 2 years prior, you will feel the surge. I felt the surge. And I said to Gabriel, it's go time. And sure enough, he was like, okay. And after he goes, you're pregnant. And I was like, ha, 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 whatever. Sure enough, that was it. That was it. Just you and I, we can be like hipster grannies doing our thing and rocking and dancing in our 80s. And so I got pregnant and I felt the pearl energy drop down. So when Gabriel and I were tuning into what we're getting ready to facilitate in Thrive and Light Leadership in the summer, we said, I know we're going to teach about intuition. We're going to talk about higher self. But I said, I want to bring through something different and fresh where people really get to activate their own intuition and higher self connection that relates to creation, that relates to creating heaven on earth, that relates to making it easy to manifest and making it easy to create everything that you want on this planet. And Creator said, okay, we'll bring in the pearl. And I was like, well, what do you mean bring in the pearl? I said, I thought the pearl was only for like baby creation. And they're like, They're like, the pearl is for all creation. All creation is like this. And I was like, oh my God, Eureka. And so this is how the pearl activation got started. So what we're going to do in this masterclass with you all is we're going to start activating your pearl sequence, the pearl activation for your creations. We're going to start that process in this masterclass, and then we're going to continue the conversation all summer. However, we invite you to come and join us to experience at least this first part of the pearl activation so we can start to open your intuition, open your higher self, clear out the channel. Like I said, we got to clear out the ick and the stick. Many of us have stuff that's in the way of us really allowing the higher self wisdom to drop down, really trusting our intuition. And if you want to create a really beautiful heaven on earth life, your intuition and your higher self connection they are some of the keys to having your life be incredibly awesome and powerful. And I will tell you this, my intuition has guided me through some of the best things of my life, the biggest crossroad moments, the biggest splits, the fork in the road, where most people freak the F out because they're like, I don't know which way to go, and we freeze because we stop trusting ourselves. Every time I've had to make a big choice point, every time there's been a big decision that's led to the next expanded version of myself, the next evolution of myself, the next heaven on earth moment of myself, I've always hit a crossroads moment. And I want to talk to you guys about that in the workshop, like this crossroads moment. I'm going to actually make a note for myself because I want to bring that in. And and share with you the crossroad moments and what those actually are for you. Because when you're becoming the next version of yourself, you will hit these moments. You're going to hit these like moments where you're like, and if I go this way, it's one reality. If I go this way, it's another reality. I want to help you discern. I want to help you get super, super clear. This way, that way, up, down, down. Where do I need to go? Where do I need to go? And so I highly recommend that you register just like Pearl. I'll send you the link. And I will leave you on this with this. As you start to point right today, I release, and I give myself permission to free myself, to let go. Get a little scratchy. Let's see if that makes a difference. Little robot. See, this happens sometimes. So what I recommend is this. I recommend that you allow yourself the space to open. Give yourself the space to release. Give yourself a moment to take out whatever that resistance was, whatever didn't serve you, whatever doubt popped in your mind. Start the process now. Start the process now. Take out of your consciousness, out of your heart, out of your energy field, whatever was sticky, whatever some place within you that you started doubting yourself. Your intuition is going to be one of your greatest reactivation points. It's going to be one of your greatest reactivation points. So let's start the process together. And then when you get to those crossroads moments, you get to the fork in the road, you get to the split, if your intuition is not all muddled and you're not doubting yourself, and then you come into the Pearl and we're going to activate. When you get to those crossroad moments, because it's a big leap in who you're becoming next, you'll be able to drop in and make big decisions really powerfully and fast. And then you're free to go again. You will elevate up. You will expand. It will be exciting. It will be fun. And you will create your heaven on earth experience like that. That's what's supposed to be happening. And if it's not happening, it's because we probably have some muck. Probably have some ick and stick in the way. And we're probably not accessing the full version of ourselves. We're not accessing the whole part of ourselves. We're not accessing our intuition, our higher self, the way that we could be. Okay? So, I love you all so much. I'm going to be sharing more stories about how my intuition really made a difference for every area of my life, but I feel like this was a really fun kickoff point. I hope this resonated. I'm happy that the sound got better for everybody streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. It's time for a new laptop. This laptop has been with us a long, long time, and it's reaching her final days, as they say. So thank you so much. Again, if you want to attend the workshop, type the word Pearl wherever you're streaming in from. Type the word Pearl. I'll send you the link. Thank you so much for being here. Know that you are incredible. Know that you are powerful. Know that you came here equipped with everything that you need to create heaven on earth. This is about our remembering. This is about our awakening, and this is about our activation. This is the time that we're in right now. We're remembering. We're remembering who and what we are. We're activating the highest version of ourselves and our gifts right now. We're waking up. And that means waking up all the bigger aspects of who and what we are. So I want to thank you. I hope you have the most beautiful day today. If you love this video, share it with your peeps. And we'll see you very, very soon. Mwah. Bye, everybody.